Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of NorthStar Nuggets. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. My name is Meenakshi Iyer, and I'm the founder and principal of NorthStar Solutions and Services. And this is a once a month offering of a 30-minute, once a month dose of future of work wisdom, especially targeted at self-led professional development. So anyone that's interested in investing time and energy into developing their career, this is a special offering for them. So very happy to be here today with all of you, and looking forward to sharing my insights and my experience with informational interviews. That's what we're going to kick off today with. And I do have some content that I'd like to share with all of you, and I've put that in a Google Drive, and that link is available in the chat. And I'm just going to give it a minute, and I will post the link again. Okay, so I see a couple of people joining in, so I'm going to just give it another minute. All right. So the purpose for today's session really is to focus on understanding the what, why, and how of informational interviews. In my experience, informational interviews is a rather underutilized tool in career development. So the advantage of informational interviews is that, one, it provides a very safe space. It helps increase your visibility. It helps you practice confidence. So those are some things that we're going to look at today. So the key takeaways from today's session that I hope to share with all of you is an understanding of what is an informational interview and why are these important. And what are some must ask questions that you need to think about? And then, once you're done with your informational interview, what's next? So that's what we're going to look at today. You can click the link that I've put in the chat here, and please feel free to download that PDF, and that's the content that I'm going to review today. So first of all, what is an informational interview? In my experience and understanding, it's really there's intention and there's inquiry. So to me, it's a very intentional conversation focused on a specific topic, focused on something that you would like to understand more of. So you're planning, you're looking for your next promotion, you're looking for a different role, or you're looking for your first job. You're looking to pivot in your career. So it's always a great idea to be able to connect with someone who's already doing what you aspire to do and have a conversation with them to understand the ins and outs of what is it that they do. So getting a sense of what does it take to be in that role? What does it take to enter into that space? And what does it take to stay in that space and be successful? So really focusing on being very intentional about why you want to have this conversation and what are you hoping to achieve out of this. A clear intention with a sense of curiosity and inquiry. So to me, that's what sums up an information interview. It's intention and inquiry. And if you're following along in the PDF that I've just shared, you'll find that on page 4. Now, why are informational interviews important? what purpose do they serve? Number one, they help validate and or refute some of the assumptions that you have about the role. So back in the day, when I was looking for my next role as a project manager, I had a certain understanding of what the role of a project manager looks like. And when I had that informational interview and that conversation with someone who was already in that role, I was able to understand that some of those assumptions that I had about what they do on a day-to-day basis was there were some gaps in my understanding. So having that conversation helped me get that clarity. The other piece is that it has helped me get diverse perspectives. So I have taken the time to get connected with project managers in different industries and with different types of experience. And that helps me get a holistic view of the role that I'm looking for. The other advantage that I've had is in reaching out to these people and having these informational interview type conversations. Um, there are many of these people I'm still in touch with, and they now show up as mentors and sponsors and allies in my career and in my life. So that's the other added advantage of doing these informational interviews. And there are a few other reasons. And for me, it's really helped me um, get to know people, number one. So it's helped me with expanding my network. It's also given me this opportunity to practice my personal elevator pitch, if you will, and also given me this opportunity to learn and grow. So if I want to set up this informational interview with a project manager in the software development space, as an example, then as part of my preparation, I read up about the industry, I read up about that role, get a sense of what it entails, and helps me ask intelligent questions during the conversation. And I've also experienced that it helps increase my own visibility. So if, let's say, I'm doing this information interview within my own company, then there is one more person who knows about me, who also knows what my interests are and what my career aspirations are. So it really helps with um, having that, putting yourself out there and increasing your visibility, and in the bargain also help give you that opportunity to practice your elevator pitch and practice your confidence, and then expanding your network, which I just talked about. So these are some of the reasons that I think that informational interviews are very helpful, and we should all try to do that. Now, what are some ways in which you can get started? Now, you can obviously, look for uh, whatever it is that you're after, your new role, a new promotion, a new career. Um, look for people within your network and start from there. So the key is to be really clear on why you're doing this. What is it that you're looking for? So clarity on the why and the what before you identify who you're going to interview. I think that's very important. So the why and the what before the who. And there's definitely protocol and etiquette that need to be practiced. So what I have done is, regardless of whether it's someone within my own organization or someone I met at a networking event or through LinkedIn, and if I'm seeking an informational interview with them, I definitely reach out to them with uh, an introductory note about why I would like to do this, what is it that I'm expecting out of this conversation, what is the time investment from their end, and ask them if they'd be willing and interested to do that for you. And once I have their willingness and agreement to doing that interview, then I make sure that I send them a set of questions in advance. So that helps both of us have a very productive meeting. And the other thing is, you also are sending a message to your interviewee, that you are serious about this and that you know exactly what you want to ask them. So the preparation, evidence of that preparation is inspiring to the interviewee as well. And I've been on the other side where people have done informational interviews with me. And that's one thing that I always look out for. So, and the other thing is always, I would recommend 30 to 45 minutes and no more than that. A 30-minute chat is ideal. And depending on how the conversation goes, you can always request for a follow up. Again, only if they are willing to spend that time with you. So that's the other thing. And lastly, always offer to set that up. And these days, with everything being mostly virtual, always offer to set up the meetings, send them the meeting invite, and then reconfirming that they've received it, etc. And there are many, like Google Meet, for example, is a free to use video chat platform that you have. So, and even your free Zoom account. So those are some of the platforms that you can use to conduct these virtual informational interviews. Um, the third thing I want to harp on a little bit here is clarity and focus. So in the questions that you send them, thinking through what exactly are you looking for, and showing that focus in that is extremely important. And also set up the flow. So the first few minutes it'll be introductions, and you want to introduce yourself and the reason that you're doing this informational interview. What is your expectation, and um, what should the interviewee be prepared with? So really laying that out, the flow of the agenda. That's important as well. Um, so remember, one of the things I had alluded to earlier is you're also going to look at some of the must-ask questions. There's a lot. If you do a Google search on informational interviews, you're going to get all sorts of lists of questions that you must ask. There's a few that I wanted to call out specifically. So I have listed out 5 questions in that PDF that I've just put out there. So asking about the interviewees, what is their journey been like and what has got them there, getting a sense of that. So most of us, we do like to talk about ourselves. We like to talk about our accomplishments, how we got to where we got to. So this is a great question to kind of break the ice, if you will, and get the conversation flowing. And it is very important that you, as the interviewer, are 100% present in that conversation. So no other distractions, no looking at your cell phone or checking email. That those 30 minutes to 45 minutes are dedicated to this individual that you're doing this interview with. And when we do virtual meetings, it's much easier to multitask. So I would really call that out and say that be focused on that, because um, when you ask open-ended, so the other thing about these questions are, the more open-ended, the better they are, because the more you can learn. And so so that's why it's even more important to be present, because that's what is going to help you stay curious throughout the conversation. Um, the other thing is, this is a safe space for you to really sort of bust the myths that you hold, or validate the assumptions that you hold. So asking questions like, what is it that they enjoy the most about their current role, and what are some things that they don't enjoy as much? So getting that 360-degree perspective is important, and these are some questions that can help you with that. Um, it's also a good idea to get a sense of what their typical day or week looks like. And that will help you um, help you ascertain whether that's something that you are really interested in. Is that something that will work for you? So, for example, you may be after this project manager role within your company that works with global teams. And then once during the informational interview, let's say you find out that most of these global teams are in time zones that are 5, 6 hours away from you. So, what does that mean for you in terms of managing across those different time zones? Is that something that uh, uh, you're interested in and you're willing to do for extended periods of time? So these are some things that will help you understand and what you really want, and if that is still something that you want to pursue. So it'll help you make those decisions. Another great question that I've used and people have asked me as well is, what skills do you rely on most? So getting a sense of uh, what is some preparation that you need to do. So let's say you're considering a certain certification, taking that up. Is it really useful? Is it relevant? Is it valuable? So getting a sense of that, getting a sense of, is it in the I always talk about people, process, technology, and operating at the intersection of that. Understanding which of these skills uh, are needed more in this role. So these are some questions that I'd like to offer today. So, what's your journey been like, and what's got you here? What do you like most about what you do now? What is it about your current role that you perhaps don't enjoy as much? And what does your typical day or week look like? And what skills do you rely on most? There are lots of other questions that you can ask, but I would say that depending on the time that you're setting it up for, duration of the interview that you're setting it up for, you might want to limit to 4 or 5 questions so that you can really get an in-depth understanding around those areas rather than peppering your interviewee with many questions. So that's something that I would definitely recommend, limiting the number of questions so that you can really stay focused and have that clarity at the end of it. So just to quickly summarize, we've looked at what is an informational interview, why is this important, and how to get started, and what are some of these must ask questions. Next, I wanted to really explore what else is out there. So if you look at page 13 of the PDF, I call out three stakeholders, if you will. So informational interviews, in my experience, are useful in other areas of career development as well. It's not only useful for getting that next job or that next role or promotion. It's also useful in, let's say, if you have inherited a new team at work and your role has changed and you need to get a sense of how your team operates and what are some of their human processes, if you will. So, setting up an informational interview with the team as a whole or with each individual is a great idea, where the focus is on getting to know them better and getting to know their work better. So, I've used this very successfully, and it's a great strategy to build team engagement. Next, I call out company. And what I mean by that is there may be roles within your company that you're interested in but don't know much about. So, I've done this where I would reach out to senior leaders within my company and request time for an information interview. And even if there are no roles advertised within that department, this is a great way to understand what other departments in your company deal with, and what are their processes, what are their process flows, what are their pain points. And doing this on a regular basis will enable you and equip you with this valuable cross-functional knowledge. And I can't stress enough the importance of that, especially in today's world, where being cross-functional and cross-functional leadership, that skill, it cannot be taught. So this is a great way to teach yourself that. So engage in informational interviews with leaders and peers across the board within your organizations and gain that cross-functional perspective. The third stakeholder group that I wanted to call out are clients. We don't think about it much, but having informational interviews with your key client stakeholders, and you can have targeted conversations around, let's say, a specific technology implementation or a specific problem that you're trying to solve, and you can have a targeted discussion using some of these same questions. So if it's a client, you can change some of these questions to say, okay, so what what is the business value that you're trying to achieve? What is working now? What is not working now? What would you like to see more of? What would you like to see less of in what we're doing? So having and setting aside the because when you set it up as an informational interview, it's first of all, it really is a absolutely non-threatening. It's a very safe space to have a conversation, and the purpose and the outcomes are clearly defined at the start. And so it's a very nice, informal yet intentional way to have a conversation and understand something a little bit deeper uh, and get better context. So I would highly recommend using informational interviews as a strategy for not just your own career development, but also to create success for yourself in your work environment. Um, and that was pretty much it that I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to close with this quote by Bill Nye that says, "Everyone you'll ever meet knows something you don't." And to me, that's the key of having these holding these informational interviews. Um, you are This is a great way to practice some of these critical skills, particularly from a future of work perspective. So the concept of leadership is changing. Leaders are not about having all the answers. It's people that are able to create that environment where there is innovation and there is curiosity. We don't expect leaders to have all the answers, but we do expect leaders to be humble enough and to be authentic enough to say, to admit when they don't know something, and we all want to work together. So leadership is changing from being top down hierarchical to becoming more collaborative. Teams are geographically dispersed, so you're working with people from different cultures and countries and time zones. So the concept of information interviews, in my opinion and experience, is much wider. There's a wider application for it than just focusing on career development. That is a great area to focus on. So a lot of times, so several of my coaching clients, I always ask them if they have talked to someone who's in that role that they are looking to grow into. And so that's a fantastic way to start getting familiar with holding informational interviews and having those conversations. But there is also this whole organizational and systemic view, if you will, that you can also have with the using informational interviews. And before I go, I also wanted to remind everyone that once you're done with your interview, right, what's next? So, again, going back to protocol, extremely important to send a note, a thank you note to the person that you interviewed, giving them a gist of what you learned, gleaned from that conversation, and offer them, see, the idea is that you want to keep this relationship growing, right? So it's not a one and done. An informational interview is just opening the door towards a relationship that you're going to keep working on. So this person could become your new employer. This person could become your mentor, your sponsor, um, or, or your ally at in the industry. So it's extremely important to keep the relationship growing and invest in it. So start with a thank you note. Talk about what you've learned from that conversation and how you intend to apply that learning. And it's so if when I've been interviewed and my interviewer gets back to me with that information, that in itself is very rewarding for me. So hearing that back is extremely relevant to the person that you've interviewed. And more importantly, this opens the doors for jobs that probably never even get posted. And so there's that whole job market. Not all the jobs that get hired for are actually posted. So these kind of conversations, the goal for you as a person doing this interview is to make sure that you stand out in your interviewee's experience. You stand out, you become memorable, and that you're able to showcase your knowledge, your skills, and your curiosity and your ability to learn and grow. These are skills that are more relevant than ever, particularly in the context of the future of work. So that's I would highly encourage you to do that. So the call to action for today is to go out there and look for someone, even if you're not looking for a new role or a promotion or a career pivot. This is something that I encourage you to do. Reach out to someone that you want to learn more about their work. So it could be your colleague in your company, it could be a senior leader in your organization. Just reach out, think about, and before you do that, think about what you can gain from that conversation. What is your purpose? Why are you doing this? And then reach out to them and send those questions and just have fun. So I really hope you'll try this out, and I'd love to hear back from you on your experience. And if you have any further questions, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel, NorthStar Solutions and Services. And you can also visit my website, northstaratwork.com, all lowercase one word, to learn more about me and my work. And I look forward to seeing all of you at NorthStar Nuggets episode 2 in May. So once again, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day and the weekend. See you soon. Bye.